Hello, it's Lynn from Lynn's Corner, and I'm coming to you today with another message. Like I always say, I'm not going to get on here, say anything just to be getting on here. But I wanted to come on here tonight to talk to you about keeping your mouth closed, right? Just keeping your mouth out of unnecessary conversations. Keeping your mouth out of unnecessary conversations and not even just not being in conversations that you don't need to be in, but you don't even need to add anything extra. Sometimes when we don't have when things aren't going the way we want them to go, in our life, or things have happened to let us down, as spiritual people, we can kind of slip back into some habits that we used to have that did not benefit us at all. Low vibrational habits. And one of the ones that was brought to me today, just Spirit brought it to me. Spirit put it just, I got a download. Keep your mouth closed. A lot of what we say, we don't always have to say, and we need to be comfortable enough to just sit in silence. We need to be comfortable enough with ourselves to sit in silence. We don't always have to be on the phone. Now, anybody that knows me, I don't care to be on the phone. But I will text, and I will do voice clips. But we need to be comfortable with sitting in silence. And if you notice that there are people that you have, that friends, I'll say, let's say friends, let's just deal with friends straight up. If you have friends that don't do anything other than talk about people and other people's situation, you might want to reevaluate those friendships. You might want to put some distance there, because it doesn't benefit you. What does you discussing someone else's business, how does that benefit you vibrationally? How does that uplift you? How does that get you to where you want to be? How does that get you to your highest good, to your higher self? How does that get you there if you are sitting on the phone or sitting on voice clips analyzing somebody else's business and what they need to be doing? Or analyzing what you feel about somebody else and what they should be doing. 9 times out of 10, when you find yourself doing that, there's some things about yourself that you need to work on, that you really need to be working on. Participating in those kinds of conversations are a distraction for yourself. Because the bottom line is this: whether you like it or not, everybody is doing the best that they can at the time with what they are working with. With whatever they're working with, they're doing the best that they can. Now, it might not appear to you that they're doing what you think they should be doing, but people are really genuinely doing the best that they can with what they're working with. I don't care what kind of people we're talking about. We could be talking about somebody who makes just the most horrible choices in your mind, in your eyes. People are doing the best that they can with what they are working with. Now, that's the phrase right there, what they're working with. Just like you're doing the best that you can with what you're working with. And what you need to ask yourself is this: the conversations that you find yourself being involved in, that you allow yourself to be engaged in, would you want those people to know that you're having those conversations about them? Would you want them to know that? That's a real question. And it's not even so much of I don't care, because that's something I used to say. I'll say it to them in their face. I'll say it to them in their face. The thing about it is, then say it to them in their face, right? Once you've said it to them, you don't need to say anything to anybody else about anything. If you are not talking about yourself, some ideas, plans, goals, ways you can reach your goals, you might wanna reassess your communication with people. You might want to reassess your communication with people and ask Spirit, God, Source, whatever you call your higher being, to send you some people that are more in alignment with what it is that you are trying to do. Really and truly, because it's not benefiting anybody. And so I'm going to challenge you. I really challenge you to charge, whatever you, to, when you're on the phone, pay close attention to what it is that you are saying. Sometimes we don't even think about it. We just get on the phone and we get to talking. We don't even think about what it is we're saying. We don't even stop to self-reflect. That's something that needs to be done constantly throughout the day. Whenever we are interacting with people, we need to self-reflect. We need to say, you know what, did I really need to say that? Did I really need to comment on that? Did I need to chime in on that? Oh yeah, me too. I saw them do the same thing, girl. You don't need to do any of that. Let me tell you what so-and-so did this morning. Got on my last nerves. Right? And people call that venting. Well, I'm just venting. I'm not really talking about nobody. I'm just venting. If that's the case, then you need to go to the individual that got on your last nerves and have a conversation with them, so that you don't need to tell everybody that you talk to after that. Because it's nobody else's business. If we are really saying that we are spiritual people, that we want to be in alignment with what is for us, that we want to be vibrating as high as possible, that we want to be operating in our highest self, we don't need to be talking about people. We don't. But it's something that is very easy to do. But when you look up and see what kind of time you have spent, you've spent 20 minutes on a conversation talking about somebody, or maybe not even talking. See, this is another thing people get tripped up on. You don't have to be talking, but just the listening alone is enough. You don't even need to be listening, because listening is participating. You're actively listening, you are participating. And those 20 minutes, those 30 minutes, that hour, that 2 hours that you have spent being engaged in a conversation with someone about someone else, you could have really and truly been meditating, reading a book, right? You could have been talking to your own children, if you have children. You could be journaling. So much you could be doing. So instead of being a person who is easily drawn into these conversations, or if you find that you have gotten to the point where you are back being easily drawn into these conversations, take an inventory on yourself and see what it is that you're avoiding about yourself. See what work it is that you're not doing on yourself that's allowing you to have that kind of time to sit and analyze other people. All that analyzing of someone else, you could be analyzing yourself. You could be journaling, like I just said. Journal. And when you get off, I think I started, but I didn't finish a couple of minutes ago. When you find yourself in a conversation, once you get out of that conversation, jot down what it was that you contributed to the conversation. Just write it down. Write down what it is you contributed to the conversation. What were your main points? And check and see how positive your points were. How positive was your side of the conversation? All of this sounds simple, but for real, it's easy to get caught up in it, and it does nothing. Sitting on the phone with people having these conversations or giving your side or your take on it, that's another thing. Giving your take on it, it's not necessary. It doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't. And that was just a download that came to me today. I already knew it, but I noticed myself, like, because like I said, I don't talk on the phone, but if I'm doing a voice clip, sometimes I notice myself, just maybe the past couple of weeks, doing a little bit more interjecting and adding to a conversation than I have any business doing. Don't do that. You are blocking things that need to come to you when you spend your time doing something like that. And remember, I talked about was it my last video? Maybe not. I can't even remember. But either my last video or the one before the last video, yeah, I talked about the abandoned little girl or the rejected little girl. Sometimes people who have had a lot of rejection in their life find it very easy to pick situations to pieces, or people in situations, or to overanalyze, to be hypercritical of somebody else. That's another aspect of healing that little girl or that little boy, whoever it is on the inside, that wounded, rejected, abandoned, emotionally abandoned child that's on the inside. That's another aspect, another reason why you need to really, really heal that, because those types of things will pop up. Now, let me say this. I said all of that. Everything that I'm saying is so that you can become a better person. This is the thing. Spiritual people, I don't care what kind of person you are, but you are on your spiritual journey, you are not going to be perfect. It's going to always be something that you're working on. 1 week it could be this, or 1 month you could be working on dealing with abandonment. You can look up, you think you got the abandonment down pat, you could be working on what we're talking about tonight. Because basically all we're talking about is gossiping. It's gossiping. Gossiping is not helpful to anyone. But that could be the next thing that you could be working on. You know, and then you finish working on that, or you feel like you've addressed that shadow. Because all of this is shadow work that I'm talking about. You've addressed that shadow. You've embraced it and addressed it so you can release it and do better. You might need to start working on your addictive behaviors. Overeating and running your mouth nonstop. That's an addictive type of behavior too. It's excessive. Overindulgent. And overeating is overindulgent. But overeating, shopping, over drinking, over smoking, all of that. So there's always something that you could be working on. The list is always going to go on, right? It's always going to be something to work on. So what I do when I come on here is just to talk to you and let you know that we're all human, but don't let that phrase be an excuse for you to have poor character. Because when you know better, you're supposed to do better. If you find yourself slipping back into something, you got to flip it, pivot. I think I talked about pivot before. You got to pivot. Get back on track. Turn yourself around. Get back on track and do what you know you're supposed to be doing, okay? All right. You can leave a comment below if you would like to like, share, and subscribe this video if you like it or if you think it'll help somebody else. All right. See you soon.